Tell me everyone's ready, okay? Okay, first off, I do want to address one thing, and this isn't against Callie, because I just want to address, because I had people reach out to me about this on a headline of her article, and I know she didn't write the headline, it's the editor, and my whole thing is I think the editor should write the right headline, and whoever that may be, and you can't be inaccurate. You can't just make things up out of hocus pocus, out of thin air. The other day I said that it's a bigger rebuild than we thought, and that we have to win more games at home. We have to do a better job. I have to even work harder in the community to get people to come to the games. It's not the fans' responsibility, it's my responsibility, even more in the community, and our team's responsibility to win. So this is my 15th year as a head coach. I am the most supporter of fans anywhere. I don't ever believe that it's the fans' responsibility. It's on us. It's our responsibility. If we win enough, they're going to come back. I get it. That's the reality of it. And we haven't won enough at home. And we haven't, that's just the reality. But yeah, it's a rebuild, so it's going to take some time. We want to win every game. But I just want to clear that up, because people had said things based on the headline of her article, which was not free for people to read, and if they read it, never was those words ever used in that article. I have never, ever said that. So the inaccuracy by the headline, people have to know that sometimes headlines can be salacious and things so people can hit and see it. Never, ever. It's our responsibility to win, do our job, play great basketball, play a great schedule. We got to be more in the community to get the fans back. So I just wanted to make that fair so everybody's on the clear end of that, so there's no gray area. Because that headline was inaccurate and not right for it to be written on that headline. Because that's not ever, that never came to my words, and I never was frustrated. That was ridiculous. So I want to clear that up. Secondly, tough game on Tuesday. There's no way to deny it. It was a bad game all the way around. The second Tyron went out, our whole game plan going into that game was we were going inside to Tyron. We had set up our plays, what we were doing. If you notice, the very first play of the game, we went into Tyron. Everything was going to be about going to Tyron Jones. That was our entire game plan, and obviously that got out of whack because he went out of the game within the first minute. He hurt himself in the first minute. It hurt us not only on the offensive side, it hurt us defensively because of his shot blocking ability and everything else, especially in some of our things. I should have done a better job when he went out. I didn't know initially he wasn't going to be back in, but I should have done a better job of changing ball screen coverages once I knew he wasn't going to be able to get back into play, because some of our things, our planning was him being there based on his weak side shot blocking. And then from there, we just got out of sorts. Credit to New Mexico, as I mentioned on Tuesday night, they were great. They were better than us that night. It was just they kicked our butts from top to bottom, and then we just kind of got out of sorts and things from there. Saying that, moving to Friday, that we know that we have a great opportunity and chance for us to see who we're made of. It doesn't guarantee any result, but it guarantees to see how are we going to fight back. And I talk about grit and toughness a lot, and we got to be really gritty. We got to be tough. We got to be hard nosed, and we've got to be able to come out with a great effort on Friday night. We know they're a really good basketball team. They're well coached. Coach Alford obviously has got, 700 or so, 700, 800 wins, whatever he's got. Probably, going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. So, we know we're going to have to play at a very high level, and we're excited for the opportunity to get back on the floor and compete on Friday night.
What is Tyron's status?
Tyron's status is day by day. So he's day by day as of right now.
But nothing season ending.
Nothing season ending, thank the good Lord. Not season ending. And we'll just keep going each day as it goes. It's going to be based on his range of motion on when he'll be clear to play again. On his shoulder.
Has he been playing through pain tolerance the whole year?
And unfortunately, This has just been when I talk about a roller coaster year, this has been a roller coaster, and part of it is not only the on the court results, but the off the court results, because like Tyron separated his shoulder at the end of this summer, so he missed all the rest of, he separated in July. So he missed all August, all September, all October. He couldn't practice those 3 months. Could not lift weights those 3 months. So his first time back wasn't until the beginning of November. And so he missed a huge weight session, individual skill instruction, and team activity. So if you've noticed, he plays with that sling, and if you ever notice, he's always favoring the other hand because it's just more of a mental thing. So that hurt us. And then you look at because those freshmen need that time in that August, September, October. So it's like Isaac Williamson was out all August, September, and October. And Manuel Stephan was out most of September, all October, and half of November. So it's just been one of those deals with missing that much of time, along with the other injuries, has hurt us. But it hurt some of the development because you didn't get that time to work on it. So it's not as much of a pain thing. It's just him, more of a mental side. But the other day, thank the good Lord, it wasn't anything serious. He just now has to get back to full range of motion. So it's day by day.
How has Tyron responded to the process of having to, this will be the second time he'll have to kind of come back from injury?
Yeah, look, the game versus Utah State, thank the good Lord again that he didn't hurt it. We thought it was a bad deal with his knee. Came back and helped us win the game. We're just a different team with Tyron. There's no denying that. Just because of the fact his energy, his spirit, things he does defensively, offensively, there is no excuse. We lost a game on Tuesday. I feel awful because we had 2 great opportunities in front of us. San Diego State for first place, and then New Mexico. We didn't get the job done. That being said, not having Tyron in that game versus New Mexico was a huge loss because we went into the game. I'm telling you, our entire deal, our entire game plan was we are going to Tyron, and he took the first 2 shots of the game. And then we had multiple plays we had set up, we did some different actions, and that we didn't account for him being injured in the first minute.
Can he still contribute, energy-wise?
Yeah, he's gonna be a positive energy. If he can't play, he's gonna be a positive. He was great at he was great at practice. He did no contact or anything. So, but even when he wasn't in the drills, he was positive and upbeat. So, what we need is spirit. He speaks great to his teammates. And but that was a big loss in that game on Tuesday. So we'll have to see when he gets back. But other guys got to step up. I thought Nas Cunningham, as I mentioned, came in, gave us a good offensive lift at the end of the last 10 minutes of the game, and so that will have to be a good. We're going to need other guys to produce and make shots.
You mentioned reevaluating the rotation with Nas playing better at the end of that game, and you mentioned that with Tyron, Kamani, and Stephan on the floor, you don't have very good spacing. What does Nas bring in the rotation-wise?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Part of it, if you notice the last 2 teams that we played, San Diego State and New Mexico, they sat in the paint, especially on Tyron. I think he's taken 1 or 2 threes all year. And Kamani, who's made some threes during the conference, but that's not his, we're in the paint. We're trying to get in the paint. So really you have 3 non-shooters a lot of times when we're in those lineups, and you just sit in the paint. As you mentioned, we can maybe go a little smaller if Tyron can't play, that we can maybe do some different things, space the floor more, because you have more guards. Now, that means we can shoot more threes. Maybe it won't be as clunky on some things that we could do because we don't have to just force it in there. But it gives a little more space, but then we've got to step up and make shots. And Nas is a guy that
does that open up the rotation more for guys like Al Green and Walter Brown 100%. To space the floor?
Absolutely. It's got to be a thing for us, especially if Tyron doesn't play. Absolutely.
What do you know about the UNLV and UNR rivalry?
Well, what I know about it is it's an intense rivalry. Obviously, I've never been part of it, but there was, there's a few things when I got the job, and thankfully from Andy. I remember sitting in my boss's office, Eric Harper's office, and that Wednesday, and of course my head was spinning, and he reminded me, and I've tried to do what he said, because he's been in a long time, make a 3 every game. just make sure you make a three, do the best you can on that. Well, we were talking about the record. He didn't order me to make a three, but yeah, no. But he was telling me about the record, and he made sure to say, don't use UNR, you know what I mean? So he reminded me on that. So I appreciate Andy on that. So, but I know the intensity of the rivalry. Look, I've been part of other rivalry games with other schools. I know how intense this game is for both programs. But obviously for us, yes, it's extra because it's a rivalry. But take that out for a quick second. We've got to show the improvement that we need to show based on our last game on Tuesday night.
Coach, heck of a game against GCU. What sticks out to you on tape and defensively? Just the edge you're seeing from your guys.
Well, the kid number 4, Corey Camper, he's really good. Obviously, Price number 1 down there in the 5 spot for them. They've got multiple guys that can score. They run really good offense. We know we're going to be at a top level defensively to guard them. Like I mentioned, they're very well coached, and they've got good talent, really good talent. So our edge defensively, we've got to be locked in because they're going to run their stuff. So we've got to make sure that we execute our, defensive game plan, and it's got to be for the full 30 seconds on the shot clock.
Just coming off the bench defensively, what have you seen from Walter Brown?
Yeah, Walt, look, Walt's been a great lift for us. Look, I said it. I said this on my radio show last night, and this is my thing about college basketball. Like number 10 from New Mexico is a pro. He's a pro, the Big 5 man. Walter Brown's a pro. Neither guy should be playing in college. I love that Walt's here, but neither guy should be allowed to play in college. That's the way all these guys are pros. That's not what college basketball is about. Because when I was driving home after the game, I was thinking, Emmanuel and Jacob, they're playing against number 10. They should be playing against other college guys who've been in college. Same thing as Walter Brown. Someone's playing against Walter. I think the same thing. He's playing against a pro, who Walter is. I'm glad. I mean, that's the rules. We're allowed to have those guys. But I thought about that. I was driving home. But in regards, Walter's given us a great lift. He's been a pro. His mentality, how he handles himself, he's helped us win games. And part of it's because he's a professional basketball player that's now playing college. That's a big thing. Just his maturity is because he's been through the pro ranks at a high level.
Would you say the timing of the rivalry could be any better, especially after losing Tuesday?
Well, anytime there's a rivalry game, it's important, like I said. But it's nothing against the game on who we're opponent. We need to be at a high level on Friday, just based on our performance on Tuesday, which was not good. We didn't play well Tuesday. We were in a rut. It wasn't who we've been. Even San Diego State, there were some things, but it was back and forth. We had some chances there in the second half, as I already alluded to earlier in the week. So yes, we know this is a big game because it's a rivalry game. We understand that. We respect that. We want to win that game for that. But on the other hand, we just in general need to be better because of our performance on Tuesday. It gives us a chance to get back on the floor quicker, and we've got to be better than what we were on Tuesday, a lot better. And I want to see our guys, which I believe we will, respond and be able to play at a much higher level.
Coaches talk about never being too high and being too low as the season goes on. You guys have experienced a lot of
It's a roller
high highs
coaster.
and a lot of low lows. How do you get back to that grounding standpoint to step through?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, as I mentioned, it's been a roller coaster. We've had great wins and head-scratching losses, and I think that's got to be, especially with 2 games a week all the way through. We've got to be consistent. We can't be an inconsistent team, and we've got to be very dependable. When we show up on that floor, we've got to just be really at a high level. It doesn't mean we're going to win every game. It just means our we got to be really connected. We were at our best when we were connected. And I felt Tuesday we got disconnected when Tyron was injured. We missed a couple early shots. Things got a little out of sorts. We lost our identity. We got disconnected and we weren't really effective. We were at our best when we're connected. And so for that consistency and how to stay level-headed, it's got to be all about connectivity. And when we're not that way, that's when we get high and low. And if we stay connected, we can be, even keel and making sure that we're staying on the, and being dependable and being a counter every time we step on the floor.
Does it sometimes feel a little bit impossible to remain consistent when you've got players that are up and down the lineup constantly and working towards that consistency and it's like impossible to balance?
I think that's been a real challenging thing this year. That's been extremely challenging for us. There's no denying that. The amount of injuries and the in and out of the injuries. But that's part of the game. I get it. That's part of the game. That all being said, no matter who's playing and who's not playing, we've got to be really connected. And so if certain guys aren't playing based on an injury, the ones who are in the game have to stay connected. And I thought we got disconnected, didn't have that same connectivity on Tuesday's game when we got in a rut and we kind of lost our identity offensively about cutting and moving and finding the open man and 0.5 decision making. We got disconnected, where other times we've been really connected. And so if you look at some of our losses, we got disconnected at times. And you look at our wins, we were really connected. So I think that's the key word for us is connectivity.
Thanks.
Is that it? Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.